Hi guys. So I look a hot mess because I decided to film this video for my film class at 9:45 p.m. I procrastinated, right? And I was thinking about what I wanted to make. I had a lot of options and I decided to just go with whatever I have in the kitchen right now because I am poor. Okay, so I have some tortellini, you know, the pasta with the cheese in it. I don't know. I just learned about it. And I also have some steak. And I'm like, with some Alfredo sauce, like that sounds good. So I looked it up and it exists. It exists. Steak and cheese tortellini. And that's what we're making today. So buckle up. So starting with ingredients, I'm going to be using some heavy cream, some fresh Parmesan cheese, butter, and more butter, and cream cheese. Then I'll obviously need some tortellini pasta and a thick, juicy red steak. I'm using New York strip. The first thing I'm gonna do is take my steak out of the bag and pat it dry with a brown napkin because I am out of paper towels. I do this all around and on both sides. Also realizing I should wipe the blood first. Nice and dry, so naturally the next step would be seasoning this beautiful steak just like that. But before I can show you any of that, we gotta backtrack. What's in this container, you ask? It's just a little onion powder, garlic powder, cayenne pepper, thyme, salt, chicken bouillon seasoning, Old Bay, and a dash of tahini. I eyeball all of these, by the way. But getting right back into it, you're going to want to season this very generously, being careful not to be shy at all. Like, you're going to need probably way more than you think. And don't forget to press that into the meat. Don't forget them sides either, and flip that bad boy over. And do the same thing on the other side. Pat, 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 just like that. Boom, money shot. And then turn that stove up to a pretty high heat for this next part. Once it's hot, and I mean sizzling, put just enough butter on the pan to coat the bottom, and then plop that thing on there. What we're doing here is searing the steak just to give it a little bit of color, and once I feel like it's good on one side, I flip it to the other side. Look at that sear. Ooh-wee, it's all good on both sides, so just put it to the side real quick. Next, you want to turn that heat down to about a 4.5. It was too hot, so I put it to the side real quick, plop down some butter, and put in some garlic. I only had this minced BS, but cloves are definitely better because it does eventually burn, and then you gotta scoop it out. But let that simmer for a little to add some flavor, and then our friend can come out of timeout and go back into the pan. And what this is gonna do is allow the inside to cook fully. I like my steak well done. I grew up African, so blood in my meat is a no-go, and I do not care. But this is the best way to keep it tender. And I decided to add a little bit of onion powder for more flavor, because who's cutting up an onion right now? But mix that in there, and then we start to baste, meaning we tilt the pan, spoon some butter, and pour that onto the steak directly. I covered it with a lid so that butter I put on top could melt a lot faster, and voila! Baste some more. I baste it pretty frequently because I want this to be as juicy as possible. Since it is a well done steak, this keeps it juicy and tender. Now I'm just gonna let you bask in this beauty just for a moment. This one side is all done, but she's being difficult, so once I finally catch her, I'll flip it to the other side and repeat. Baste, baste, baste. Don't be shy with the basting. Ooh-wee, just gorgeous, the most beautifulest you ever saw. She's ready for her close-up, but that is tough because we gotta put it to the side real quick. Little sidebar, while I was bored watching meat cook, I decided to be proactive and open up the packages I was gonna need. The parm, of course, was easy peasy beautiful cover girl. But this tortellini was trying to fight. I'm over here picking and pulling because why is there a tab to open it if it's not gonna open? So I got a knife. It helped, of course, but then also, of course, the other side wanted to act ghetto too. But anyway, far too much time later, it's finally open, so there you go. Speaking of ghetto, I don't have a grater, nor was I going to get one, so I grated my Parmesan with a potato peeler, and it worked beautifully. Can you spell innovation? I have absolutely no idea what happened to the footage of the beginning part of this next part, but basically, I just used the butter left from the steak to make a roux. Be prepared for some vigorous whisking. I put the tiniest sprinkle of flour in the butter, making sure to whisk it in immediately, and then literally immediately pouring in just enough heavy cream to keep the flour and butter from burning, and whisking that vigorously, before then adding as much heavy cream as I saw fit for the amount of tortellini that I had. I added in cream cheese because it makes the sauce more rich and creamy and velvety, and that's exactly what I wanted. I didn't have a lot, as you can see. So I scraped out as much as possible. And then, yeah, you guessed it, whisk vigorously until it's nice and incorporated. And you want to make sure you keep this mixture at a simmer, because if it boils, your cheese is going to curdle. Once all of that is to my liking, I then dump in all that beautifully peeled Parmesan cheese. And you do want to let that sit and melt just a little bit before you try to mix it in, because it's a little hard to mix it when it's solid and like not melted a little. Then just salt to taste. Alright. Okay, that seems like enough. Mix, mix, mix. And then some parsley for the aesthetic. Yep, just keeps going. I guess as much as will come out of the container before you get bored. Ha, and mix, 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 just like that. And obviously you can't salt to taste without a dip and lick. Happy dance. Now back to work. I'm preheating the oven to a very high heat because it's only going in there to melt and incorporate everything, so basically for the aesthetic. A cool little 425 should do the trick, but I probably end up setting it to broil later on. Also gonna boil some water for that trifling tortellini and just pour her in there, and she did splash me for calling her trifling. Whew, I tried. Nah, I did. I carried this boiling hot pot of tortellini to the sink one-handed. Anything for the shot. Oh, thank you very much. But then strain her in the strainer, and don't be a loser like me and let all that steam burn you in the face, because this is a cooking demo, okay? Not a skincare routine. I don't know why everything wanted smoke today. I mean, this steak was beating my ass too. And it looks tough because of how hard I'm fighting to cut it. And now that I'm looking back, it's because I'm an idiot and I used tongs instead of a fork. But I swear it's the most tender, well-done steak ever. Good googa-mugga. I mean, look at that. No pink and no red, just a nice dusty rose. Mwah. Anywho, now that all that prep work is done, we can finally get into my favorite part, which is combining all the elements together. So just pour that tortellini into that rich sauce and just give it a stir. Let's just bask in this for a second. Okay, that's enough. Just put it to the side real quick. All I have is this deep baking dish, but this is not a lot of pasta at all, so you just need it to be deep enough to not spill over. Pour it in the pan and scrape it out, and I mean every last drop like it's your last meal, because that is how my mama taught me. Just make sure to spread it out nice and evenly before placing the steak right on top, and then we're going to peel some Parmesan for the aesthetic. And lastly, parsley, because she can't go out the house naked like that. Ooh-hoo-hoo-wee. The oven should be nice and hot by now. It's time for old girl to go outside. So we just gotta put her in the oven and let that beauty get a little tan. Just a little while later, and ooh-hoo-hoo-wee, she is ready. Just a little finger licking good. Make you want to slap your knee. I'm just gonna let you guys watch this next part because it's just absolutely salivating, positively beautiful, and why? Alright, this is so exciting. I'm gonna try this. Not bad, my ass. That's the shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ain't nobody had none of this. This is our steak tortellini. Steak and cheese tortellini. I'm having such a good time right now. Yeah. 3 pieces of steak per serving.
Yeah, I figured.
I cannot.
There's not a lot of steak to choose from.
No, but it's like, you know, you eat half a bite of steak and then a piece of tortellini, and you eat a piece of tortellini, and then you eat half a bite of steak and a piece of tortellini.
Yeah.
Tastes so good, make you want to slap your mom.
Not on the ass.
I am confused.
Like nobody's thinking about that. Take 4 more. 4?
Yeah.
But, alright, that's enough of that.
Yeah.